Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. We are back with another episode of your favorite ever, the Stacy and Casey Show.
Wednesday morning coffee talk.
That's right. That's right. We love it. We love it. We are going to talk today about making tough decisions when there's no perfect answer. Who out there has experienced that in life?
All of you have, whether you know it or not. Every single one of you have. So,
I mean, this could apply to parenting. This could apply to life. This could apply to work.
There is not always a set of instructions for everything. That is for sure.
100%. And I think that, we make, tough decisions every day where there's no perfect answer, right? And you make the best decision that you can with the information that you have at the time.
Absolutely. I think, I said that jokingly, but we all just went through a period of just a craziness in our world in COVID, and that's the thing when I saw this topic, that's instantly what came to my mind was COVID, because we were literally, you and I used to talk, Stacy, we were literally making decisions daily. And nobody knew. And the reality is we still don't know a lot of that. Like, should we wear masks? Should we not? Should we close down? Should we stay open? And even within our own organization, there were some vastly different thoughts and processes. And I remember trying to work through that. And it was such a difficult time because I had some employees that were really scared, and really thought that, man, everybody needs to be on lockdown in their house. And then I had other employees that were like, hey, this is only affecting the elderly. We need kids to be able to do things. And then, it was tough because ultimately somebody had to make a decision. And that was a point of like, gosh, I hate that. I like when a group can make a decision, but we couldn't. We were at a point we could not, the group could not make the decision. Heck, we'd still be closed today if that were the case.
I think one of the, I think that this is not always realistic, but one of the things that I am most proud of during that time period, just using that as our example today, when all of that kind of first happened, Premier, we started doing calls with all of our gyms together. So we would have a call with just the managers every morning, actually, for a long time this was going on. And then 2 or 3 times a week, we would have calls with all of the staff. So we would have anywhere from and it wasn't all the staff, but all the key staff that are, more full-timers, whatever. We'd have anywhere from, 80 to 100 people on a conference call. And so on the bigger gym, like, do we stay open? Do we close? When do we reopen? Those kind of things. We would be having those discussions with our managers and our key personnel, like our assistant managers and things like that. So it'd be 12, 15 people on a call. Every single person would have the opportunity to give their opinion. And what I was so proud of is that our organization, everybody felt they had the space to give their opinion, whether they agreed or disagreed. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, I made the decision, but I was able to listen to like 15 opinions every day, daily, and everybody's different states and all the different things that were going on. And I felt like I could truly make good decisions because I heard what every person, what they thought, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they agreed with, what they disagreed with, times 15 people that I trusted. And they kind of trusted me like, hey, we feel like we have this open space to share our feelings and not be judged. And you're going to ultimately take all that information and make the best decision to move forward. And then to extrapolate that into a bigger thing, we would have, our 60 to 100 staff members on, and we were talking about virtual classes and how to, what's the best way to get this done? And what's the best way to do this? And what's this curriculum? And everybody immediately came together and started working together collectively. And that's sadly, that's not always reality. You don't have time necessarily to meet every day with 15 people and ask their opinion about every single thing. But, looking back, on that time, that was one of the things that I was definitely most proud of. And actually, it was really funny because on one of the staff calls, so a lot of people were new to Zoom at that time, but Premiere, we had already been using it for like 2 years and most people had never even heard of it. But we had been doing conference calls since the dawn of time, and we're always looking for like better methods to meet and talk. And so Zoom, I don't know, we started using Zoom in like 2017 or 2018. And it was a struggle to get all of my people to get on it, but we did it. And then when COVID happened, like we were ready because we had been using it. But I remember one of our all-star directors somehow, which I thought this was pretty impressive, got all 100 people on the call to turn their cameras off and set their name to, I think it was loading ... or something like that. So in the center of everybody's screens, you've got all these pictures and they're black and it says loading ... And Sean Timmons and I get on the call. So they organized this and they got on like 10, 15 minutes early, prepped themselves. We get on the call and we're like, wait, what's going on? Where is everybody? Can you hear us? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Sean and I are talking about, nobody else is responding, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We hang up, come back. And then everybody, of course, starts putting their cameras on and they are cracking up.
As
my wall crashes down behind me. Anyway, that was fun. That was
for
fun
y'all
times.
that don't know, Stacy is displaced today. She is not in her normal podcast space, and her wall just fell on her. So just laying on her head right there. So
I'm just gonna leave it.
if you're not watching on YouTube, then try to give a good description. Literally, a wall is laying on her head.
Oh my God.
Don't worry. She wasn't injured though.
All right. So I'm not sure that story was like super on topic, but
no, it's
fun nonetheless.
Right. Yeah. A fun, your group made something fun during a time where there wasn't a whole lot of fun going on. You and I, you shared something with me I know this is off topic as well, but you shared something with me that like saved my butt for probably a good 6 weeks of like, you told me to journal every night and write down 3 positive things. And I actually did that. And man, that got me through a period where it was really dark because, once again, we're talking about tough decisions because you're making these decisions. And all of us during this time period, we saw that our livelihood was in jeopardy, and that was a thing that quickly, like I was scared, there were the fear of, I went through the fear of, oh my goodness, people are going to die. This could be us. It could be our loved ones. We didn't know what was going on there, but then quickly followed up with, man, what are we going to do here? We are shut down, closed, cannot run a business, can't pay people, we did pay people. Luckily, we were pretty well prepared for that. But like I said, a lot of things were in question at the time, and you got to make decisions and you got to make quick decisions. And the decision you made on Monday didn't necessarily work on Tuesday, so the decisions kept coming. And I remember as things calmed down a little bit, that was one of the things I was most grateful for. There would be days, and I distinctly remember this, of like, gosh, I didn't have to make a decision today. I didn't have to make a decision that was going to affect somebody's paycheck or affect somebody's life. That was the thing. It was just so heavy, and it got heavy and it got dark because, like I said, your livelihood and your life is obviously the most important of the two, but like tough decisions. So
yeah, I agree. And I think the lesson really is just, we're all going to be faced. If you haven't been, God bless you, but you're going to be eventually faced with a tough decision. And there aren't always clear answers. I think as kids growing up, we think that our parents know everything, and there is like an A or a B, a yes or a no for every single decision. And that's not actually adult reality. Adult reality is, here's the information that I know. I have to make this decision, and you make the best decision that you can at the time with the information that you're given. I said that in the beginning, and giving your own self grace, to do that. But I also think that it's important to collect as much information as you can before you make the decision. Again, within reason. If you can't take 3 months. If the decision needs to be made in a week, you can't kick the can down the road for 3 months to collect information to make a better decision, because then you're going to end up hurting yourself in the long run because you're 2 months and 3 weeks late for the decision that you needed, and things are starting to fall apart around you. And we've all done that.
Yeah,
we've all done that.
The good news is most of us are running small businesses. We've got small families and a small like we can turn quickly. I made this decision to go straight. Man, that was a wrong decision. Straight is not the answer. I can instantly turn right. We're lucky to have that in small business. So I think that is the thing. Gather as much information as you can. Make a decision when you need to make that decision. But then understand, like, most of these decisions aren't for the rest of your life. You didn't just made this decision. We can't change it because we've all done this.
It's okay to pivot.
Absolutely.
It is okay to admit to people that, hey, I made the best decision that I could with the information that I had. And now I have more information, and it is best that we go this direction, and be honest. I think sometimes people make a decision, and to try to kind of hide the fact that they have learned more and feel like it would be better to go this way, they kind of cover that up and try to justify the decision. It's okay. Like it's really okay. Just be honest and pivot when you need to.
Yeah. I really like what you said about getting as many thoughts and opinions as you can. I used to not do that because, like, sometimes you don't, when you've already made the decision in your head, you don't want to hear somebody else's opinion, because what if it's different? But
Right?
I've had to change my mindset. Hey, let's go get 5 different opinions, and if 4 of them line up, you might have an obvious, this is the direction we need to go. So,
well, and the other piece of advice I would share with that, Casey, is, first of all, share and gather advice and talk to people, get those different opinions from people that you trust, obviously. So find a circle of people that you trust. And I always feel like you want to talk to somebody that's like that understands your business or understands your problem, but then also talk to somebody that's outside, that has a completely different perspective or no perspective at all, because they're from outside. But I always try to share, like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what I think I'm going to do, but this is also what I'm afraid of. This is my fear in this decision. Because I think when you share that too, I always share that second so that I don't put that in the person's mind first. But when you share that, people could be like, oh, well, I didn't see it from that point of view. And you're right. So maybe we need to steer this direction. Or they're like, oh, you're being silly. Like that's not going to happen, or, whatever. I think a lot of times we cover up or we hide those scary thoughts because we don't want to share those. But I think it's important to share those and get the person's reaction to see.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest. I say this all the time. Any decision based on fear, sometimes those aren't good decisions. So if you identify what that fear is, that's the thing. I'm scared of this, and by identifying that fear, then you can work through it. But also love what you said about reaching outside. It's obvious to ask the people within your organization that are right around you. But asking that person that doesn't know the situation or know those people, that's not living it, oftentimes you get a totally different perspective and get some really great feedback from those.
I sometimes find that I'm all worked up about something and I've got to make this decision. And I sometimes find that when I call somebody that's removed from the situation, because in order to get their advice, you have to now fully explain everything that's going on. Not because with the people that know what's going on, like, you don't have to fully explain it. And when you fully explain it, the whole thing, as you're explaining it, you start to realize, like, maybe this isn't not as big of a thing as I thought it was. Or you work it out in your head as you're talking about it because you've removed yourself kind of from the entity. And in explaining it to somebody that's got no idea what's going on, you find the answer, essentially. So I don't know.
So let's do that. Everything we've talked about, like even during COVID, we were making decisions daily, but it wasn't down to the second. Let's talk about making some decisions where it's an emergency situation. You've got to make it right then on the spot. An athlete's injury, a parent walks into your lobby and freaks out and is yelling and wanting to fight somebody right then and there. Like, you don't have time to talk to the others. How do you prepare for those situations?
So for me, that's 100%, I feel like, gut gut instinct. I think that you prepare for those. Let me back up for a second. I feel like you prepare for those situations by talking to other people, getting training, like in a first aid emergency type of situation. We've all done first aid and CPR training a gajillion times, right? So, you're relatively prepared for those. You're not necessarily prepared for every single thing, but the protocol, and your body just kind of takes over and does the steps. First thing, like assess, call 911. If you manage those two things, in a serious emergency situation, you have an emergency action plan for your facility, and you teach those to your staff, like lights out, everybody sits down, open up a bay door, whatever the different scenarios are, you have to have a plan for those, and you need to educate the people inside of your facility of what those plans are. Even hostile parent, is like step one, remove them from the facility, even if it's, like I used to like kind of, if I could, depending on how hostile they would be, put my arm around them, hey, let's take this outside and have a conversation and try to calm the situation down, remove them from the group of people. And if they refuse or it escalates, then it's, call the police. Somebody call the police. Like, we need to remove this person from the facility. So knowing those things kind of ahead of time. Now, in the moment, you still have to remember the steps or do the things. And if it's something that I feel like we haven't trained for, because you can't train for everything, you have no idea. Like, you can't prepare for what you don't know. I just try to go with my gut and use my training and education from the last, 25 years. And I think those things are important.
Yeah, I really like what you said there on the training piece, because even before we were doing some of the true training and emergency plans and things like that, just running through things in your head and different scenarios in your head. And like you said, you can't prepare for them all, but, it's just like an athlete running a race. They tell high-level athletes, and a lot of high-level athletes preach this, they run that race in their mind before they actually go and run the race. They visualize it. So, I've used those techniques a lot in visualizing, okay, if there's an injury, here's what we're going to do. Just preparing. Like you said, it's really an emergency plan, but in the early days, that's a lot of what I did, was just this mental visualization of, all right, here's an angry parent. Here's how I'm going to de-escalate. Here's where we're going to go. I'm going to try to get them to go to the office. If they're not going to go to the office, I'm going to try to get them to go outside. If they're not going to do that, I'm going to call the police and not deal with them at all, but running through those things in your head.
I agree. That reminds me a lot of softball when I used to play softball. It's like, okay, I got a batter on, I got a runner on first and second. I got a batter up. We got 2 outs. If the ball goes here and if the ball comes to me, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to throw it here. Like you're running those scenarios in your head before the play happens. Yep. And I feel like that's the same thing. So I think that the lesson here is when you need to make tough decisions without a clear answer, don't be afraid. Don't be too proud to ask advice and seek advice from trusted others inside and outside of your organization. And for the quick emergency things, have a plan, get some training. If you don't, then if you're listening to this podcast, like make a note right now, make it a priority at your next staff meeting, walk through the trainings, let everybody know what are your policies. If there is, lights out, tornado, earthquake, God forbid, active shooter, an unidentified person inside of your facility. I've had that happen before. You don't know every single person, but you kind of recognize every single person. This. I mean, it doesn't matter how big your facility is. And you've looked up in your viewing deck before and you're like, I don't recognize that person. They seem a little out of place.
We've had homeless people wander into our facilities before.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go upstairs and make somebody feel bad. My way to handle that is just I walk out, hi, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner. I didn't recognize you. I want to introduce myself, make them tell you who they are and kind of figure that out. Yep. And then you can assess the situation.
Here's your kid. What's their name? You don't have one here? Oh, well.
Correct.
Let's walk outside.
Correct. So make that a priority at your next staff meeting. It's important. I actually wrote it down on my notepad for myself as a reminder.
It's so much easier today.
Always do it.
Yeah, and it's use AI. You can go on there and say, "Hey, give me an emergency plan for, I don't know, electricity outage in a youth sports facility." It may not be perfect, but it'll be a start, and it's free. There's so much information that's readily available, and starting with not a perfect plan is far better than no plan at all. So,
hey, and you know where you can get emergency action plans, Casey?
I bet in the MotUS Vault.
That is correct.
Well, maybe I should tell everybody a little bit about MotUS.
Maybe you should.
A lot of great things in the vault. All right. So MotUS is a community of gym owners working hard to help each other grow. As a member of MotUS, you get access to our Gym Owners Vault, which we were just talking about, which includes templates for nearly every aspect of your business emergency plans. We continue to add new resources constantly. In addition, you are added to the private VIP owners Facebook group, as well as the opportunity to join monthly webinars geared towards gym owners. You also receive amazing discounts from our Prime Alliance event producers, the Cheer Expo, Choice Events, All Out Brands, All Day Cheerleading, World Cheer Company, and American Spirit Championships, and our awesome affiliates Infinity, Cheer Sounds, Bookshop Fundraising, Spirit Action Shots, Big Cat Sports Travel, and much, much more. As a member, the MotUS Business Expo Conference, September 28th through the 30th in Nashville, Tennessee, is included in your membership. It's an awesome business conference with 2 days of business development, leadership, and growth. The Business Expo is designed specifically with gym owners in mind. This year, we're hosting the Pioneers of All-Star book launch to celebrate the pioneers and the book. So join the movement today at www.
You are struggling.
I know. Goodness gracious. I'm all over the place.
I think they know the website by now.
Maybe I should spell it. Let's see if I can spell it right. www.joinmotus.com. Better at that one.
Excellent. You crushed it.
All right. We got time for a quick dad joke before we get out of here?
Yeah, we
do. All right. Why was the robot so tired after his road trip?
He needed to grease his wheels. I have no idea.
He had a hard drive.
Oh my
goodness.
That. I think these jokes just keep getting better and better.
I agree. I love them.
Too funny.
Yeah. So send us your favorite dad jokes. You can share them with us. You can DM them to us, or you can email directly to Stacy at stacy@joinmotus.com. STACY.
That's right. A lot of people try to put an E in there or an IE. Just a Y. Well, we're moving right along, and it's my favorite time of the podcast. I'm not sure it's anybody else's favorite time of the podcast, but it's my favorite time of the podcast, which is the Simon Sinek quote. So today, fitting our topic, we cannot put a price on our principles. There is no amount of money that can justify doing what we do not believe in.
I like that.
I agree, Simon.
Can't be bought. So this is a crazy story right here that I'm about to tell. And I don't know if anybody's going to believe it, but literally I was offered a brand new car one time to put a girl on a team.
Wow.
And so local car dealership, local gym manager really wanted his daughter on a team. He's like, hey, I'll put your wife in a brand new Suburban. She can come down here and pick it out. Need my daughter to be on this team. Man, that was a little tough one to turn down there, but I did. So, and I'm glad I did. So,
yeah, it's not always easy to do the right thing, right? If it was, everybody would do it, but it's important, I think, to do the right thing if you value, morals and ethics and have some principles. So,
yeah, I mean, that was the thing. We had always at our gym really, really try to place the kids where we think that they can excel and place them on the correct teams. And that was one of the first times that I was really thrown for a loop there. Of like, man,
that's pretty
this
crazy.
is this. And heck, she was close too. Not right there, but she was close.
So you could have potentially tried to figure out.
Probably could have worked that one out, but that's
what I think though. In that situation, it's like that parent would own you forever then.
And what's next? That's the thing of like, I don't know. I think of so many things in life of like, well, if I do this, what's the next thing The next, that one was close.
Right.
The next one might not have been close, and then it just leads you down this path that you don't want to go down.
And you compromise your principles.
Yeah. To the point. That's the whole point. Can't put a price like those principles,
I totally agree. So today's key takeaways: go and have a staff meeting and go through your emergency action plans. Make sure everybody's trained and ready to go. Check your first aid and CPR certifications. If they're not up to date, get on it, because it's important to make sure that everybody in your staff has those things. And, don't be afraid to ask others for help when you need it, because
you gotta be prepared. You got to train for making the tough decisions. Sometimes we think we should just, I'm a leader, I should just intuitively know how to do this. No, you don't.
You don't. And it's okay that you don't. That's part of being a leader. Knowing that you don't have all the answers and doing what you need to do to get the answers is the right thing to do.
Yep.
Be sure to follow us on YouTube at the MotUS Edge. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Join MotUS. And wherever you listen to your podcasts, give us a like or a shout out. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, leave us a review. We really appreciate it. And hey, if you're a gym, join the movement and sign up for MotUS today. Thank you so much for listening, and we are excited for you to have the MotUS Edge.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.